Hello, and welcome to the Logcast. I'm your host, Clay, and today I'm joined by Dave and Jeff. Greetings,
Hello,
everyone.
hello.
Hello, hello.
How is everyone doing? It's not the early morning right now. We've decided to record later, so are we full of energy and ready to go?
Heck yeah, we are.
Sure.
Awesome.
All
Yes.
the energy.
Yeah, we decided to push back recording a little bit later to today, and we'll talk about why here in a few. But before that, I figured, hey, let's see what everyone's been playing video game-wise this week. It's something we like to do here on the show. Gives us a moment to give a shout-out to some of our favorite games that might not necessarily be within the Rare and Friends realm. So, Dave, why don't you start us off?
Okay, so what I played pretty much almost the same as last week. Splatoon 2, Assassin's Creed Rogue, and a little bit of that Sea of Thieves technical alpha that was today.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Excellent.
And that's pretty much it.
Dave, did you get to play Salmon Run yet in Splatoon 2?
I actually haven't, sorry.
Yeah, you know you're going to upset me when you say that, so I could
I
tell
know.
you didn't want to answer, but I appreciate your honesty, though, and shame on you.
Yeah,
so.
I played it for 5 hours. No, I didn't.
So, what is Salmon Run?
Salmon Run is the quote-unquote horde mode of the game.
Nice.
And it's only open during specific times.
Weird.
It's usually, so far it's been like all weekend for this weekend and last weekend.
Okay.
And then like random times during the week, basically.
Okay.
And so you go there, you get teamed up with 3 other players, so 4 total. And then there's, as of right now, 2 different levels, and you, there's 3 different rounds of hordes that come at you. And so there's like minion, regular, bad guy, fish that come at you, and then there's like these special fish, salmon, that are like even more evil and powerful. And so they're all different. There's like, I don't know, 6 or 7 different ones, maybe even more. And so you have to kill those ones, and they drop these golden eggs, and you have to get those back to your base within a certain amount of time. There's a quota you have to meet. If everybody dies or you don't meet your quota, you lose, and you go back to the main menu. So 3 rounds. There's different variants that come into play. There's like fog that makes you not be able to see. The tide can come up, making the area that you're playing in a much smaller. You don't get to pick your weapon. It randomly assigns you a weapon each round, and so sometimes you get stuck with things you don't like. But it is really fun.
Sounds cool.
It's very, very enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's great. I was playing today with a buddy of mine, and we're having a good time, even though we lost like the majority of the time. So when you start out, it's pretty easy, but it definitely gets way more challenging as you play it further. So I know a lot of people are saying it's their favorite part of the game. So
Nice. Okay, cool.
yeah,
I hadn't even heard of it, so that's cool.
cool.
Um,
What about you, Jeff?
yeah, as far as
anything new and exciting for you?
not in the least. Honestly, this week I can't even recall anything other than Rocket League or Sea of Thieves. There might have been one other game in there that I can't think of. I'm running on like 3 hours of sleep right now, so I don't really.
Yeah, you're a busy dude, man.
Yeah.
So I don't blame you.
So anyway, just kind of the usuals, I guess, would be the best way to put that.
Okay, awesome.
How about you, Clay?
For me, quite the opposite. I've played quite a bit this week, which
Nice.
is, it's crazy because I got Splatoon 2 and I'm huge fan of the game. So I played it all last weekend, but then like once Monday hit, it was about that time that I made the mistake of getting my wife hooked on the game, which to be honest, I never thought would happen.
Yeah.
I was just like randomly was like, here, you try around. And then it just slowly took over, and she loved ARMS, but I never thought she'd be into Splatoon. I never even tried to get her into the first one, but whatever happened, and now she's hooked.
That's awesome.
And so I got home Monday, and she's sitting there playing. I'm like, well, I guess I better find something else to play. So I kind of put that away and hadn't been playing it much all week, but got it out this weekend and last night, and was able to play a lot more of it. I've been playing Mickey Mania. I purchased it the last week and been playing it on the Sega Genesis, so good stuff there. At work, I took my 3DS in and stopped bringing my Switch to work for the time being. And I've been playing the 3DS game titled Epic Mickey Power of Illusion.
Nice.
And so I've been playing that. I started a long time ago and never finished it. And now that I've been getting back into all these Mickey games, I was like, I should start playing that again. So I've been
I think
going through that.
I have that one. I need to do the same.
Yes, it's good. It's your classic Mickey platformer, but then they have these random moments where you have to paint things, like from the Epic Mickey games, but you have to use these like stupid touch control things where you like trace a letter, and it just kind of kills the momentum of the game.
Yeah.
But other than that, it is a good game. It looks nice. It's very fun, and I like everything else about it. It's just that one little thing. I'm like, this really didn't need this. Yeah, it's a touch screen. I get it, but kind of dumb. Anyway, so I've been playing that. I also yesterday picked up on the Wii U Virtual Console Sin and Punishment, which is a N64 game that never released in the United States.
Okay.
It was a Japanese release only, but I didn't even realize they had done this. But it came out on the Wii U with English voiceovers, which is strange because it has the Japanese subtitles over everything.
That's weird.
But
I think it was like that in the Japanese version too.
Okay.
If I remember
So they just left that in, like, visually or whatever. They couldn't remove it.
I don't
maybe.
know why it was never brought over.
Yeah.
Huh.
I've heard of it. I didn't realize it wasn't available here.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it online back in the N64 days, and it's like, oh yeah, that looks cool. I hope it comes here. And then it never did.
Yeah. It's interesting. I've just played like 30 minutes of it, and it's a rail shooter, but it allows you to move around and shoot and like jump over things. So you can't really stop and go, but you kind of control your character a little bit more. I will say the controls are really wonky on the Wii U, though. It's throwing me off because the move and the aim button are basically swapped for what would be a typical shooter nowadays. So that's throwing me off. And then your fire button is the Z button, but the Z button on the Wii U is the left trigger, not the right, because the right trigger brings up the menu. And so I'm constantly, even as I'm like capturing game footage, I keep pulling up the freaking Wii U menu. And so and my like left trigger finger keeps getting like fatigued because it's not used to this. And so it's been a mess. But it's an interesting game. I don't know enough about it or played enough of it to really give it a full review yet, but it's interesting. So if you're curious to play an N64 game that never came out here, check it out. Wii U.
Sweet.
Last few things. I picked up Lilo. Yeah, sorry guys. I picked up Lilo and Stitch on the Game Boy Advance the other day, and so I've been playing that.
Okay.
Knew nothing about this game, but loved the movie, and so I was like, this is a no-brainer. It's basically your run and gun shooter. It's basically Metal Slug meets Lilo and Stitch, and so you're just running around shooting things constantly and blowing things up, which is perfect for that movie. And so it's pretty difficult, but I'm still enjoying it. It's cool, and it's got like full clips from the movie playing on the Game Boy Advance.
Oh, wow. That's impressive.
Which they look okay on the Game Boy Advance, and then I threw it on my Retron 5 onto my big screen TV, and it looked awful. So clearly it wasn't made for that, but it's still kind of impressive that they have full scenes on that.
Yeah.
So last but not least, I picked up the PS4 Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 remaster, remix, whatever you want to call it thing.
Nice.
Recently. So I've been playing through the first Kingdom Hearts, which I was very close to beating about 2 years ago, and for whatever reason I stopped playing, and so now I'm going through it once more, and then I plan to beat 2 as well. So I've been playing through that. I know the front end of it really well, so it's fun. It's still fun to play, but it's kind of like, I know this already. Like, I want to get to the good stuff. So anyway,
man, you went on a hell of
that
a
was
Disney
a ton.
kick.
Yeah, dude. There's a lot of Disney games on here.
That's awesome.
There's a reason why, but we can talk about that later. All right. Well, that is it. We just spent 9 minutes talking about video games we've been playing. Mostly me. All right. So let's go ahead and jump on into the news. All right. So to start us off, we are going to talk a little bit about what happened this week in the news. Who wants to take the first one?
I can jump on that one.
You got it.
I'm kind of the go-to Sea of Thieves guy, I feel like.
Easy.
So,
Whoa.
Yeah, just kidding. The weekly rare video about Sea of Thieves was all about making the game watchable. And it was executive producer Joe Neate and creative director Greg Males talking about how they kind of just went into planning this game as making it a shareable, watchable experience. And when they originally came up with the concept of it, that was the foundation, and they kind of threw Pirates into that. And they pitched it to some Xbox executives back in the fall of 2014, so almost 3 years ago now at this point. And they were talking about how they pitched the game, and normally like they just pitch it to the executives and it's just kind of in the planning stages, and they say, well, this is what we want to do. But at this point, they'd already put together their prototype in Unity, which they've talked about several times. That we even mentioned last week. They showed a little bit of footage. So they showed footage of Phil Spencer and a couple other Xbox executives playing that, and we got some really cool insight into the very, very earliest build of the game, and just how fun it looked. It's very rough around the edges, very ugly, if you want to be harsh and critical, but it looks just as fun as it is now. And so they showed a little bit of that and talked about how that led to the E3 2016 trailer, the one that myself and a couple others were in, and just trying to portray the game as a shareable, watchable thing, and giving players stuff to do during, like the just manning the parts of the ship to make it fun to sail from island to island, and not just be like, oh, let's set our course and go, like kind of the not, I don't want to like slag on Black Flag, but it's like, other than ships running into you in the rogue waves, like you kind of just hit A to increase your speed or decrease your speed. You don't really do much with the ship. So
How dare you talk bad about Black Flag?
I knew you were going to defend it. No, there's plenty of cool stuff. Like you can do a lot of cool things in that work because you're not adjusting the sails, you're not manning cannons and stuff, like you're just playing. But they made it much more like 4 different people doing 4 different things can totally run the ship rather than the ship just running itself. I think that was kind of the gist of it. I don't know if you guys picked up on anything in there other than that.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't watched this, you should definitely check it out. If not for anything other than the prototype footage, which is super cool and interesting to watch. I'm so glad that they were, willing to show us that.
Yeah.
I know sometimes Rare doesn't like to show stuff, especially stuff like that, where you can tell it was very, 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 very in the early stages.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, it's just so goofy, and the colors and textures and all that stuff. You can tell they were just, they wanted the core concept to be portrayed, but visually it's nowhere close to what they wanted.
Yeah, they call that engineer art.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and so it's really interesting to see, and some of the animations they came up with, like the sword swinging and stuff. It's really,
it's funny.
really interesting.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But a lot of the main concepts and the physics of it looked very similar, if not like almost 1-to-1 to what they are today. So it's kind of cool. Like the cannon fire looked exactly the same, and the shape of the ship and the location of the stairs and stuff looked like identical. So it was pretty cool.
yeah, definitely. Hopefully they release more of that or some more footage of it at some point. But yeah, it was just cool seeing them playing that, and seeing Phil Spencer playing it and stuff. It was pretty cool.
Yeah,
it was interesting.
Another interesting thing I think was that some of the things on the island where they were showing like kind of the outpost at the beginning, there were some shops and things like that we'd never seen or heard of. Like there was an enchantment shop, and there was a clothing store and other supplies and stuff. So exploring that, and not to say that that's guaranteed going into the game, but it's something they were considering that early, that there's a pretty good chance they're trying to figure out how to make that work. So that was pretty cool. And there's other little things here and there. There's some NPC characters they literally look like Tic Tacs if you look close enough, and kind of funny to see.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it, I think, for that video. And yeah, it was pretty sweet.
Cool.
All right. In addition to all this other Sea of Thieves exciting news, there was also an announced 3 Xbox technical alpha sessions for Sea of Thieves with 10,000 new invites.
Yeah.
So if
Definitely
you
promising.
are part of that program, you might want to check your email and see if you're one of the lucky
You
10,000.
might be a
Well, by
little
now
late.
it's pretty much it's over.
Yeah. Like by the
Is it?
time that
Oh, yeah, that's true.
by the time
It'll
the
be
I
show
wasn't sure
goes
if there
up,
was one Sunday or not.
yeah, there is one Sunday, but by the time we post it, it's going to be just about over.
Yeah.
Oh.
So maybe we can help someone
Maybe.
figure it out. But they'll know. They'll know. They should
better.
know by now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't get to play Friday at all. Jeff, were you able to catch any of Friday's play sesh?
I did. I played for maybe an hour or two. I think 2 hours.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Got paired up with a couple of cool guys that one guy in Michigan and one guy in the UK. And another guy that didn't have a mic. I think, and his username was Canada something, so it's, whatever, Canadians.
He's
kidding.
probably from Denmark, dude.
Yeah, Canadian Denmark.
That's my- Yeah, one of them.
What do you call someone from Denmark? Is that the Dutch or is that no? It's Netherlands. Danish?
I have no idea.
I have no idea.
Isn't it? Is it Danish?
That's what I think. it
Prob-
is. Okay,
probably.
he's a Danish Canadian.
Yes, one of those.
Anyway, so yeah, we had
Nice.
a good time. It was fun.
Awesome. Also this week, if you had been following Rare on their social media, they the Rare audio team was purchased a full size. I think it was full size.
Yeah, it looked like a full grand.
Yeah, piano,
Maybe
an
a baby
actual
grand.
real piano, and was delivered to the studio this week. So that's pretty exciting. Obviously, the majority of their music, they like to record real instruments. So I think having a actual piano there will give them a whole lot more, opportunities and options to get different sounds that, MIDI keys wouldn't necessarily always give you.
Right.
And so I look forward to seeing what they're going to do with this thing. And maybe it's not even for like, the music part. Maybe it's just for writing music, or
I think it might be for sound
you-
effects. I think it's for Foley. Because
Right.
they were talking about making cannon sounds hitting a piano, and they had like a sledgehammer on the piano in one of the pictures.
Okay.
So
So they're probably not going to be very kind to this
I
piano.
don't
They're
think
probably
so.
going to do all kinds of crazy things with it.
I hope so.
Yeah, and that's cool. I mean, I haven't seen the picture of it, but I
Okay.
assume it's probably not the nicest piano.
It's very retro looking, very old looking. But
right.
it
So
looks
it's probably
cool.
not tuned. It's probably it probably sounds old, and
Yeah.
that's probably exactly what they wanted, if I had to guess. So
Yeah.
should be interesting. I look forward to seeing what they do with it.
Indeed. Okay, and so another thing that they showed on social media this week was a GIF or GIF. If you, no, we're not good at that. It's a friggin' GIF of a
Yes.
shark on land, and talking about before they put in the code for the sharks to recognize the difference between land and water. The sharks just went wherever they damn well pleased. Something we've mentioned a few times, but they actually showed a player standing on the back of the shark on the beach, just like shark surfing across the sand, and it's just hilarious. So it also was in the insider email on Wednesday, so if you're an insider, you can check that in the email, and if not, it's on their Rare's Twitter feed. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that was kind of a play on the fact that it was Shark Week this
Yeah,
week, right?
that's right. They did say that.
Yeah,
Everyone's racing sharks and stuff.
Yeah, or
'Cause
not.
that's apparently
Exactly.
the thing.
yeah. It was no, it was a cool GIF. I like it.
Yeah.
It made me chuckle. So
All
Cool,
right.
cool. So there is a new blog series on the official Rare website. It is called Rare Tech Blog, and the debut article is by lead deployment pipeline developer Jafar Sultani, if I'm hopefully pronouncing his last
yeah.
name right. This article is about Rare's decision to adopt a system of continuous delivery. And it talks a little bit about pros of switching to this type of system over the old model of features being developed in isolation and later merged into the main build, which causes bugs and all the require the dreaded crunch time, which is kind of a bane of the video game industry. So by switching to this continuous delivery model, they now can have a main build of the game that has most features in it and release it in a releasable state with minimal bugs at all times.
Whew, you made it through that.
Which, yeah, I can't talk.
no, it was a lot.
Which actually, it's really amazing that something like this exists, and I'm wondering why most companies don't do it.
I think it's the
because you
future,
always
yeah.
hear about people complaining about the crunch
Yeah.
time, and people getting burnt out and quitting the game industry because of it.
Thing
so.
is it mostly applies to games as a service like Minecraft and Sea of Thieves, but I feel like it
Yeah.
could work very well for any game. It would work really well for Assassin's Creed, for example. So it's interesting, and it's a really good article. Did either of you get a chance to read the whole thing?
I kind of lost my interest. No offense.
Okay. Yeah.
When I read the word lead deployment pipeline developer, I was like, I don't know what any of those things are. I'm out of my league here. But
I skimmed it, but
Okay.
I didn't go through it like really in depth.
A layman's term or a layman's explanation of a lead deployment pipeline developer. Basically, he's in charge of getting the game set up to come out constantly so that all the tools are in place for the developers to put their code in and have it put into the game and run.
It's like a pipeline.
Yeah,
Except,
interesting.
it's like code instead of oil,
right.
which is a lot more friendly than oil.
So it's like it's a series of tools that like the art team, the programmers, the audio team, they can all just kind of dump their stuff into the pipeline. It all kind of goes filtered down to a deployment build, and the deployment build is done, I think they said weekly. And it's all the features are there. It's not like some isolated branch and then the main build being the trunk is kind of the traditional software model.
Right.
Anyway, enough boring tech stuff. I think we covered that.
Awesome.
No, never enough.
Yeah, I know you guys could sit here and talk all day about that kind of stuff.
We totally
but-
could. I totally could anyway.
Let's talk about CPUs, guys.
Yeah, crunch the numbers.
All right, well, let's go ahead and jump right into our main topic of the day. All right, welcome back. Today, you are joining us on a voyage on the Sea of Thieves.
Ooh.
So welcome. Yes, very exotic. So to get things rolling here, I'm going to hit this over to Jeff and let him kind of set things up a little bit.
Okay, so anyone who listens to this show knows that we cover Sea of Thieves weekly in our news, but we really haven't done a topic on it in a long time. I don't know. I think we did some sort of like analysis of all existing art like a year ago or maybe a year and a half ago. So stemming back to E3 week, like back in June, there was a Twitter discussion where Joe Neate, the executive producer, chimed in talking about the NDA and said that players can talk about their experiences but not share videos. And so I had originally interpreted that from that point forward, like we could totally talk about our experiences, our stories in game. And then it arose on the Facebook group. There's a Sea of Thieves community Facebook group that I'm in. I assume you guys are into.
Yes.
Where somebody posted something like, just a reminder for all the new people in the alpha, the NDA means you cannot discuss your experiences, you cannot do this. And I cited Joe's tweet and I was like, oh no, I think we can talk about it now. And he goes, no, I think that was just the E3 build. So long story short, I reached back out to Joe, and in this thread also was Craig Duncan and a couple other people, but I think Joe and Craig were the representatives from Rare. And I just literally said, hey Joe, still some confusion of the statement amongst the community. Did this just mean the E3 build or all experiences going forward? And Craig Duncan directly replied to that with, happy for people to talk about what they are playing, including sharing stories. No pics, video capture, or streaming from the Tech Alpha, thanks. So, using that as our precedent, we decided to go balls to the wall and do this episode. Rare, if you're listening, and this is somehow violating the NDA, that is not our intent. We are literally trying to go by what we have been told. So, that said, that is the reason we think that we can do this and that we are doing this. So here we go.
Yes. Yeah, so basically, for those of you listening at home, we just finished playing the alpha for the day. I don't know, how long did we play for, guys?
About an hour and 20?
About an hour and 45.
A little longer.
Okay.
Wow, a little longer than that. You're right.
Yeah,
Hour.
time kind of flies by in that game,
It really does.
seems like.
Yeah.
It really eats up my weekends sometimes, in a good way.
Yep.
Anyway, so we just finished. We purposely put off recording so that we could play that, so that we could sit down and we kind of have documented out our voyage for the day. and we just want to share a little bit with you of what transpired and what we experienced, and some of our memories and things that happened. So hopefully this will be interesting and worth listening to. I think it will.
Gather round the fire, mateys.
Yes, I wish we could fully voice act this thing out with sound effects and
pretty
stuff.
sweet.
But
We should just do pirate voices the whole time, me hearties.
Maybe not.
Dave, I think you're the only one who could pull it off for the whole episode. To be honest. Yeah, there it is.
Don't tempt me to do it. I just might.
Join my crew.
All right.
Classic.
So to start off, it was the three of us. Unfortunately, Kev was not available to join us. So he was marooned onto an island off and not allowed to join us on our voyage. So yeah, we started right off, and let's see, we were on our ship, or we were on an island.
Outpost,
I don't know.
yeah. We started on an outpost.
Yep. And so we all ran up onto our ship, and we're kind of getting things situated. And really right there in front of us, not too far off into the water, was what appeared to be a sunken,
Yeah.
not shrunken. It was a full-size ship, but it was sunken into the water. And obviously there were
Flock of
birds
seagulls,
flying
yeah.
around, seagulls above it. And so I was like, hey, before we get going looking for treasure, why don't we see if there's any treasure there? Because previous times I've gone underwater going through those ships, there wasn't really anything to be found other than some, bananas and whatnot.
Flies, yeah.
Never found a treasure under there. So we got it. We got things moving and headed over there to. So we dropped the anchor. I think all of us kind of immediately jumped in.
Yep.
I think at that point we might have had another person playing with us who was not talking to us, but so we all jumped in. I wasn't finding a whole lot and was afraid I was going to drown, so I headed back up. Jeff, on the other hand, had a little bit more luck.
Yeah, so I I went directly into the hull of the ship and went through the second floor, found nothing but supplies, went all the way to the bottom of it, found nothing but supplies. And I was like, well, crap, I don't think there's anything in this ship. At that point, I was starting to drown. I was losing health. So I swam back up to the surface, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to check the captain's quarters because I haven't checked that yet. And I went in there, and I was looking around, and the way the ship was, it was almost completely vertical. And so, and the shipwrecks will be at different angles and on their sides and upside down and vertical and stuff. So, I went into the captain's quarters looking around, didn't see anything. And as I turned around to go back out the door, literally, because the ship was vertical, right above the door on what would have been the wall next to the door was a treasure chest. I think it was a rare chest. So,
Nice.
It was pretty sweet to to find something kind of on my last ditch effort and
I
grab.
found a cannonball. That was
Yay! And yeah, I think there's some sharks around that you guys took out because the sharks kind of start circling shipwrecks. When
Correct.
you get inside, they sense you. So yeah, I grabbed the chest, swam back to the ship, and loaded it in our special hiding spot that we've designated that we will not tell you.
Don't
in
tell
case,
everyone.
Yeah,
Don't tell.
no. In case we come across you guys.
Yeah.
And yeah, so then at that point, got back on the ship and decided to head to our first island.
Yeah, and before we move on from there, I just wanted to... You mentioned that we were kind of taking out sharks and whatnot. That's the thing about this game. One of the things that I really like about it is even if Jeff is always hogging the treasure, be it, being so good at finding it buried on an island or stumbling upon it in a sunk ship, at least there's something I can do to feel like I'm contributing in some way.
The team,
Whether it's
teamwork.
killing skellies, holding the lamp so that Jeff can see as he digs, or killing sharks so that he has an easy escape. I appreciate that. So there's always something you can be doing. Yeah,
Totally.
your friends might be out, getting the treasure and you're sitting on the ship, but you can be adjusting the sails and getting ready to pull up the anchor. There's always something you can be doing to make things better for everyone. So I like that about this. I think you're not just standing there like, well, Jeff's better at this than me, so I'm just going to stand here and watch him dig this, with a shovel. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah.
So we were heading to our first actual treasure chest at that point. which was located on Crescent Isle.
Yes.
And so we headed that direction. And so I think once we got there, we did find the treasure.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if anything interesting happened.
I know. I'm trying to even remember where the chest was on the island for that one. I don't think it was very eventful. There was probably a couple skellies, and it was a pretty slick, just in and out. Got it, and decided to head back towards the next island.
Right. And so as we were done with that, we got the ship ready to go, and I think my exact words were, "Let's not cash these 2 chests we have in yet. Let's hold on to them. I like to have a little bit of money on board with me. It gives me a
Something
reason
at
to
stake.
Yeah, I like the stakes to be high. Something for me to be fighting hard for." And ultimately, that ended up backfiring.
Yeah,
on
it
us.
did.
Dave,
Dave,
would you like to tell the listeners how we screwed this one up?
Yeah, we were all underwater, or at least I was, and then when I popped up to the surface, I saw like cannonballs striking our ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I was
we
like,
we
"Hey, we're
found
under
another
attack," and then I
sunken
realized
ship.
I was muted.
Yeah, you gotta lay it all out there, Dave.
So we saw some
You gotta-
seagulls. We were heading towards our next island, and we saw some seagulls.
Right.
Oh, I didn't see seagulls.
Okay. Clay and I saw
Well,
some
we all
seagulls,
did,
and we
and we were
said,
all
"Let's go."
underwater,
Yeah.
and so we're looking for another chest, and all of a sudden I hear big explosions from underneath the water, and I'm like, "What is that?" And all of a sudden Dave's like, we're getting shot up here." And so we're like, "Frick!" And so we're all running up or swimming up real quickly, trying to get back to our ship. So we did finally get on our ship. They didn't sink us. They hit us once, and then I think they kind of kept going, and so we were able to all get on board.
Yeah.
Then what happened, Dave? Tell the listeners what happened.
I remember going beneath deck to bail out the water, and then it was rising at like an alarming rate, and then I was like, had a plank out. It's like maybe I can plug up a hole real quick before it gets too bad, and then it just got too bad, and the ship sunk.
But before that, they boarded our ship and were spawn killing us like crazy.
Oh, were they?
Yeah, this was. I think you're thinking
I
of.
thought that was later
No,
on.
I think you got.
Nope, this was it. It's all written right here, dude.
Just read the doc.
Yeah, so we all got killed, and then as we kept respawning. I don't know how they figured it out, or if it's
They're
easy to
pretty
figure out,
seasoned.
but
yeah.
yeah. So they knew what they were looking for, and they just kept dropping us. And so, in fact, I think as our ship was sinking, they were still on the ship killing us.
Yeah.
And Jeff was like, "Why aren't they leaving us alone? Like, our ship is done."
Yeah, I was
Like,
running to
they
try and
just-
save the chest, and I was like, I got killed again, and the ship was already like 3/4 of the way underwater. I
Yeah.
was so pissed. I was like, why is this guy still on the ship?
So yeah, eventually we lost our ship and both of our treasures. We assume they went to those guys, and so we spawned to our new 100% ready to go, pretty looking ship, and we were pretty happy to be away from those guys because it did not take them very long to completely annihilate us and take all of our booty. So it was a rough hit to the gonads starting off. I think we were all really excited to get going, and that was a bit of a spirit crusher. And I think for the remainder of our voyage, none of you listened to any of my suggestions to hold on to the
Yeah,
treasure,
not so
and
much.
I can't blame you.
Yeah.
We don't need treasure.
Yeah, treasures for losers.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. So Jeff, what happened after that? After we
So-
finally got things moving again?
Yeah, so basically we respawned pretty close to where we were before, and we were already kind of en route to our next island, our second map, which was actually a riddle quest, not a map in the
Correct.
true sense of map, but piece of parchment with riddles on it. So we were heading over that way towards an island called Wanderer's Refuge. And there was a little bit of a riddle about once we got there, we got there pretty quickly. A riddle about a well near the highest point of the isle. So we located that. I think Dave was the one to find that, and then pulled out.
That's right, because we struggled a little bit there for a
I
minute.
missed the
didn't
word
we?
well. Yeah, so I was just looking for the highest point
Yeah,
of the island.
I didn't actually find the well. I just
You just
I was
reread
looking
it.
at the riddle. I didn't say anything for a while. And you guys were like, I was confused.
Okay.
Like, am I reading the right thing? And then I was finally like, well, it says there's supposed to be a well up
Yeah,
here.
I totally missed
and
that.
there was.
Yep.
So
And there
So we
was.
found the well pretty quickly after we realized we were looking for it. Pulled out our handy dandy compass, ding, and took our paces to our treasure and found it on our first dig, which is always satisfying. And yeah, so pretty much from that point we grabbed that, headed back to the ship, and I think at that point we decided we were just going to go cache it, right?
yes.
Yeah, no, because we were right next to an outpost. So yeah, we headed back to the outpost and did all of that.
Yeah, actually, I think it was when we were at the Well Island. There was a ship off in the distance, and I
Okay.
kept looking at it, and I was like, I don't know if they know we're here. I
Oh,
think
that sounds familiar.
they were depositing, their own chest, and so I was kind of keeping an eye on them. They never really kind of came at us, so when we left, then it kind of appeared like they were following us, and so we were kind of freaking out a little bit. Obviously, we had some treasure at that point, so but then eventually, for whatever reason, we kind of lost track of them. We got away from them, or they lost interest, or whatever. So after that, we actually didn't head back to deposit those.
Oh,
We actually
yeah.
moved on to another island first.
Right.
So we did get a little bit more
Stayed
adventurous.
cocky, yeah.
I wonder if it was close enough that we're like, we'll
Probably.
just do that.
Oh,
Plus that
no,
other
I know
ship
what it
was.
Okay, the other ship was at the near outpost, and I was like, well, if we go to Snake Island, there's another outpost south of that we can go to, so we'll avoid them completely. So
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, that's what happened. Now I remember.
Okay. Dave, what happened after that? Do you remember off the top of your head?
We found another chest at the Snake Island.
That is right. We did. Yeah, I think that was a riddle.
Yeah,
One,
there
wasn't
It
it?
was about.
You must have found this really quick.
Oh, yeah,
I
we were
remember looking
super-
at the
In and out.
at all.
Yeah, I shot myself out of the cannon and just dug it up like in 2 seconds, because just out of sheer coincidence, where I shot myself, I landed right next to the thing in the
That's
riddle
right.
about the sun rock. I was like, oh, I'm totally right here. It's like, give me 2 seconds, I'll have the chest. And
Yeah, it's interesting because it seems like we're shooting ourselves onto islands a lot more than we used to be.
yeah,
I think now that they've added it, because at first they added it and it was like, well, it's just easier to jump off and get going. But I think we've realized with the addition of the sharks and everything, it's
Yeah.
just a lot less headache if you can just shoot yourself
so
over the
much
water.
easier. Yeah.
You only have to worry about swimming up on your way back. And so it seemed like we were doing that a lot, and it really did seem to have better results.
Yeah,
So.
and you can also plan it so that you can shoot someone off, or someone can shoot themselves off as you're floating by, and then the rest of the crew can kind of slow down the ship, put up maybe 2 of the 3 sails, and just get nice and close to the beach and position,
Yeah.
towards the next island. Excuse me. So yeah, it's strategically, it makes a lot of sense too, to just send maybe 1 or 2 guys ashore that way, and then park your boat.
Yeah.
So at that point,
so-
we headed south to the Plunderer's Outpost.
Correct.
To
And
cash in.
I think we were trying to be a little more inconspicuous at that point. So I don't know whose idea it was. It might have been you,
I think it
Jeff,
was me,
that
yeah.
suggested, let's go ahead and just turn all the lanterns off, because it was hit about nighttime at that point. And so we're like, yeah, let's see if we can just not get in a fight right now. And so we turned all the lanterns off, and it was about that time that I think we hit probably our biggest fight with another ship.
Yeah.
And I saw them off in the distance, and about that point they started turning towards us.
Right.
And I think we were just coming up on the island we needed to go to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But for whatever reason, we're like, let's just fight these guys.
Yeah.
And so we kind of straightened out and went at them. And this was a long fight. We spent quite a while back and forth going against these guys.
Spinning in circles and doing 180s, and there's several drive-by cannon
Right.
exchanges.
And we were kind of keeping a distance
Yeah.
from each other. We weren't
Yeah.
just like running right up on next to each other, at least for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And
Most of our shots were missing.
we had tons of cannonballs, and so we were able to just kind of throw them out there.
Yeah.
Some connected, most of them didn't, and it didn't really matter. But after a little while, I was like, all right, let's like get this going. And so the big thing that we kept doing over and over is we would do what Jeff calls the e-brake
Yeah.
turn. Why don't you go ahead and explain that to those who may or may not know what that is?
Real quickly, that is when you are sailing your ship, and if you drop your anchor and the wheel is turned at all, the helm is turned at all, you will start to whip around. And if it's turned all the way, you'll do like a full 180. And then you just need to raise your anchor really fast. Otherwise, you're kind of a sitting duck. But we had a pretty good system on it, where we were in good communication and got that thing back up pretty quickly. And so we just kind of kept sailing right for them, dropping anchor, flipping around, shooting at them, and then dropping anchor, flipping around. And eventually we ended up both heading straight on at each other.
Yes. And that's where shiz got real.
Straight up jousting with ships.
Yeah. And before we hit that part, I did want to say, as far as the, hitting the e-brake or whatever, dropping the anchor, it worked well. The only thing that wasn't really working in our favor was like half the time when we would turn around, the wind was hitting us right in the face.
Right.
And so there was a lot of times where we just did not have a lot of speed going at these guys, and they'd come flying by us. And so half time we didn't know what side they were going to be, coming at us on.
Yeah,
so
they would
left, no, right.
Cross across the front of us. Yeah.
And so half the time I like would get on my cannon and they'd already be gone. I'm like, dang it.
Yep.
But yeah, so then finally they did hit us. And what happened after that?
Dave, you want to tell that story?
So we got boarded.
Yes, they jumped on our ship. There was
Do
two
you
of them.
remember this off the top of your head, or is this all just like new to you?
It's honestly, a lot of it really blurs together.
Okay. This is the part where we hit them head on. They jumped onto our ship, and we just like fought the crap out of them.
Okay, so I wasn't sure if that was that fight or not.
Okay, that's that fight.
Yeah, and we killed both of them. One guy went in the captain's quarters,
Yeah.
and I think one maybe went downstairs for a second. And it was about that time I realized, crap, I don't have any bullets.
Yeah, both
or
my guns were
anything.
empty.
So it's all swords for me. And yeah, we were able to take both of them out. And then I'm trying to remember what happened after that. But all of a sudden, I think we realized very quickly we were taking on a lot of water.
Yeah.
Dave, you might have even been below deck.
Yeah, you said it was filling faster than you could repair, and then it just was lost.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So maybe what I was talking about earlier was actually this time.
Yes, I'm pretty sure it was.
That could be
Okay.
it.
When
And,
you thought you could bail, and then it just wouldn't let you bail and wouldn't let you repair.
Yeah, I went down there to bail, and then I realized how bad it was, so I was like, okay, I better patch something before I even bail.
Right.
And then by that time I even had a piece of wood out, it wouldn't let me do it anymore.
Yeah. So we were past the point of no return at that point. So, and
Yeah,
I was
which
still
was
on the ferry of the
surprising.
damned.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was surprising though, because we hadn't been shot
No,
that much.
we hadn't
but
taken any damage except for the head-on collision with the other boat.
I think that's what doomed us.
Yep.
Apparently,
And
it was so
in the
bad
time
that
of us trying to kill them and fight them, it just filled up really quick. Also, part of that was that we had taken damage on the middle deck that we hadn't repaired. So once the lower deck filled, like the middle deck just filled like instantly because there was like 20 holes there. Yeah. And that's something we didn't think about and didn't anticipate. So that was our bad.
Yeah. Okay. So once again, we were sunk. I don't think we lost any treasure though.
No,
did we?
I don't think so. We intentionally had nothing to lose. That's why we didn't go to Devil's Ridge at that point.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that was straight off the outpost. We just cached like our 2 chests.
So we had nothing to lose. We were ready for blood or honor. I don't know. So after that, we were on course for our next location.
Yeah.
And where was that? I can't remember.
Devil's Ridge, which is made famous by the 2017 E3 trailer. It's where they found their treasure.
That's right.
Is this the one that you guys took forever to find it on?
Yes.
In the sand?
No, that was a later one. That was Crix Hollow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I couldn't get my bearings. Now this one, This one didn't take too long because it was in the sand. It was kind of just underneath the biggest, highest point, and I was just blindly digging. And finally, I stopped and looked at my map and was like, "Oh, there's a palm tree here. Let me dig here." And then I found it.
Okay.
And you were holding lantern for this one because it was dark.
That's right. And so, as we were getting ready to leave, is this the one we left Dave behind? Kinda?
Yeah, we left Dave behind, and
Okay.
we hit all those little tiny islands.
Yeah.
And he caught up with us because we almost sank.
Right. Okay.
And-
So that's the second. That was only that was like the first time I mentioned it. You had done that to me before earlier on. I just didn't say anything though.
Nice. And so I remember finally Dave caught up to us because we were having a rocky getting out of there. And then all of a sudden, this skeleton started shooting us with a cannon from Devil's Ridge.
Yeah.
And so Jeff's trying to get us out of there. Dave's coming aboard. Our fourth teammate's doing God knows what.
He's hardly doing
And
anything.
so, yeah. And so I realized, all right, our time playing this is probably coming to a close, and I need to have my hero moment.
We were in the last chapter of our voyage.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go have my hero moment because I like to try to have one hero moment, even if it fails every time I play. And so I'm like, I'll see you guys later. And so I just jumped off the ship and ran ashore, and I can see the skeleton shooting way off in the distance. And you guys are, poor Jeff is trying to, instruct a crew of two.
Get the helm right.
One guy can't hear him, and Dave's over there upset that we left him, so he's not much help. I'm just kidding. And so I'm like, I'm gonna find this guy. So I go up there and I kill the skeleton and kill him with my sword because I still at this point have not refilled my weapons. And then I'm just standing there and just like, guys, any help? I'm like, I'm back on the island still. And so my plan was to stay there for the remainder of our session and just become an old, hermit who fights skeletons.
Jack
and
Sparrow
just
a little bit.
Yeah, just does his own thing. And but then I felt bad, and so I found a mermaid and came back ashore. So
Yeah.
that was my little hero adventure for the day.
Yeah, and you definitely saved us because otherwise we were sitting ducks. We were just stuck on this little atoll that we could not get off of, and eventually we did.
I appreciate you saying that, dude.
Yeah,
I appreciate
no,
that.
it was not in vain.
Okay, good.
I guess you didn't die, but it was well, it was well and good. So at that point we were heading northwest towards Crook's Hollow, and that was our last treasure map in this voyage. We were on the final chapter, and we had the damnedest time finding the chest on Crook's Hollow. I could not, for the life of me, personally, I don't know if you guys were even looking, but I could not get my bearings on that island. I couldn't find a reference point that I could match to the map. Because usually I can match a shoreline or find there's a dock on this side or a big rock on this side. I was just going in circles, and there's caverns on that island. So it's really hard to get your bearings based on a topographical or a top-down map.
Right.
Because the heights just confused me. So anyway, after felt like forever, it was probably 5 or 10 minutes. I eventually found where the dock was in the little lagoon, and used that to get my bearings and navigate to where I thought the chest would be, and did eventually find it. Brought it back to the ship,
which was not there.
Which was not there. That is a good point. Our
Dave goes, "Where's our ship?"
Yeah. He's like, "I think there's an enemy ship coming by. There's a moving ship, really close.
It's shooting at us."
Yeah.
Right.
And then Jeff,
Yeah,
what
I
did you
remember
say to
that.
him? You were like,
I was like,
it
Clay's
might
just
be
trolling us." And he's like, "Yar."
Seems like something he would do.
Yeah, I love trying to drive a ship by myself. It's always
fun.
good times.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I got back to the ship because I used the mermaid. You guys were taking forever, and so I thought I would just maroon you there and leave. But then I was like, I could just drive around the island and shoot at them. So I decided to do that instead, which
Thank
was
God.
pretty fun.
Yeah. So
So
what actually worked out is that where we had parked the ship wasn't really very optimal for getting back to it. Would have had to swim a long way, and when you're carrying the chest, you can't sprint. So where you ended up parking was right next to the beach and a really quick swim. So that actually, again,
I totally did that on purpose, dude. That was totally intentional.
totally what I was talking about earlier, where one guy's getting the chest, the other guy just kind of moves the ship to where it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Go teamwork.
unbeknownst strategic planning.
Yes.
So at that point, we decided to just head back to the final outpost and cash in for the day.
Correct.
Pretty uneventful.
We-
Our main guy left. Our other teammate left, and a new guy came in. And
Yeah, the poor dude. We were pretty much wrapping
we were
up,
done.
and
we decided to ram the ship into the shore, just jump off with the chest.
He's more like, what are these jokers doing? I'm
We
ready
pro-
to go.
yeah.
I'm gonna
we
get
probably
some treasure.
put a ton of water in the ship just from doing that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we paid up, we got our treasure. And so one thing I also like to do in this game, like, hey, let's go have our own little grog fest in the tavern.
Oh, I love doing that.
And
at the end of
so
Voyage.
yeah, it's fun. Everyone goes to the tavern. We have a party. Our poor friend that joined us there at the end didn't realize that there was a party and he wasn't invited, so he never showed. And so we all went into the tavern, had a few
Eventually he did.
drinks. Yes, we eventually. Yeah. Oh, he did come
he
in.
did come in. Yeah, he came in.
Okay,
played instruments with me.
I
But
missed that because I was completely hammered by that
Yeah.
point in the game.
While we were hammered, another ship showed up and just
Yes.
took our ship out.
And we didn't care.
No.
Just
We
like,
were
we're
just.
good.
And so we're in the tavern. I'm like, let's go out there. And it was dark out. So I'm like, we can pull out our lanterns and, say hello to them in Morse code and
Right.
play them some music as we're still hammered. So we run out there and they ended up shooting one of their crewmates over to the island. And I'm like, all right, guys, we're not going to fight. We're done
Yeah, do
fighting.
not
We're
engage.
retired.
Yeah.
So we were either holding lanterns or playing drunken music. And this guy came up and starts shooting at us.
Yeah.
I'm like, hold steady, guys.
Yeah.
Hold steady. We're going to get I was really hoping
We're
we
gonna
could start a
convert him
party.
to join
But
our crew.
that's right. And he just kept shooting at us. And so eventually he killed Dave. And then I was like, all right, Jeff, we need to run. But we're just going to keep playing music until he kills us both.
Yep.
And
so he
killed me.
He killed you. And
Yep.
at that point, our new teammate came and just destroyed him. So
Finally,
Yeah.
somebody took him out.
yeah,
He's probably like, what the heck are these guys doing? Somebody killed this guy. And
Yeah.
he's just like, boom, dead.
Yeah.
Like,
so
these guys are terrible.
yeah.
But
We were too busy
And at
merrymaking.
that point,
That's
we
right.
pretty much called it a day. We completed a
Yes.
voyage and decided to record the log cast, and so here we are.
yes. So before we close out, that is, in fact, all of it. Anything else you guys want to add? Anything you enjoyed? Anything that we didn't mention maybe that you wanted to point out visually, mechanically, any of that stuff?
Not specifically. Like they added a few things to this version versus previous weeks that made it better, more playable. I don't know if we can specifically list features like that, so I'm just gonna kind of not mention it
Fair enough.
outside of
Yeah.
storytelling. But I had a great time. The graphics, I don't know how much it's not really part of the experience. So I'm not going to go into it.
That's fair.
There's a little bit of difference in graphics that I noticed. So,
Okay.
but it was
I
a
know
great
what you're
time.
talking
I
about.
know you do. And sorry, everybody. I wish I could just go full on into this, but just trying to stick to what we were told by Craig, that we can share our story, and that's what we're sharing, not the details, not the technical details.
Correct.
So,
Dave, is there anything you remember from today?
what was your most memorable moment? Yeah, I feel like you've been kind of quiet.
Most memorable moment.
This is pulling teeth. So pulling teeth.
Yeah, I'm pulling teeth. I guess the part where where we got rammed and everyone jumped on board
Yeah.
from the other ship.
It's pure chaos.
Definitely.
Look at that.
That was fun.
Yeah, I think it's those chaotic moments that are really great. And for me, it's seeing those ships off in the distance, and we're like on an
Yes.
island and it's like, we got to get back to the ship.
Yeah.
We got to hurry.
Find the treasure, dig it up, get it back.
Yeah, that whole feeling is just like so cool.
Mhm.
Like I don't know. That always kind of gets my blood pumping. Or
Totally.
I see a ship. At one point, I was driving the ship and I could see a ship way off in the distance. It started coming at us, and then all of a sudden, the guys up, the fourth player up in the bird's nest.
After we'd already
or whatever.
like declared that
Yeah,
we
it's
see it.
well seen. It was very much coming at us. Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah,
Like,
we know,
welcome to
buddy.
the party, buddy.
So, but I love like scanning the horizon, trying to see a
Yeah.
ship. Oh, is that a ship?
Yeah.
Is that a ship? Like, you can call me paranoid, but it's just, I don't know. It's kind of fun. I
It's
like
really fun. Yeah.
they let you see pretty far.
Keep your
There's
guard
no
up.
no draw distance issues where things are
No.
popping in,
No.
so far away. But so really, really good, really fun, and obviously still as beautiful as it was, the first time I played it anyways. It still looks great, and yeah, great times still to be had. So
Indeed.
All right. Well, I think that is about it. Guys, thanks so much for joining us and listening to our Voyage for today. Hopefully this doesn't get removed. We just love talking about this game and are trying to find ways to continue to talk about it. So to be able to, yes. And we don't want to upset anyone at Rare. We love them all, and we hope that they love us. And if you have not been able to get into these alpha sessions, keep trying. If you haven't signed up, you definitely should.
Yeah.
It's a great time, and they just added 10,000 people this weekend. So there's more and more people being added. It took me a bit longer than you guys to get added, but I like to think that I stayed faithful and held steadfast, and finally, I was able to get in on it. Yeah. So I look forward to one day when this game is out to the public for everyone to be able to look back on these memories, listen in on this episode, and remember all of the fun times we had. And
Indeed.
We'll have to jog Dave's memory because he doesn't remember any of it already.
Yeah.
So
we're going to have to get
bless his little heart.
Once we can stream it, we'll have him vlog it so he can remember it that way.
There you go.
There you go.
Sorry, Dave. We love you, buddy.
We
love you, buddy.
I like how you just said that in sync.
Yeah, we pretty much
I was prepared.
are both in love with you, I guess.
That's how I know it's not real. It's just a
the canned response.
Yes.
No, we do. We do.
Awesome. All right. Well, guys, until next time, you can check us out on social media. We have tons more episodes. Go back through. There's so much that we've covered. Ukulele, Donkey Kong, Conquer, Banjo-Kazooie, all kinds of stuff. There's so much to look at. We have a YouTube channel. If you're not listening to this on there, check us out. Logcast. We are on YouTube. Actually, no, it'd be Rare and Friends. And we have a playlist full of Logcast episodes. We're also on Facebook. We don't spend a ton of time on there, but it is available. And we love your support. Giving us that like adds another number right next to the like button and makes us look that much more legit, and we appreciate you doing that. We're also on
numbers.
You like numbers? Big numbers.
Like numbers.
Yeah, numbers are good.
The better.
We're also on Twitter. We do engage with you all and Rare as well, and the people that have worked at Rare on Twitter, so join us on there. There's a lot going on. Rare's always posting some pretty awesome stuff, so check us out there. We're also on Instagram. And you can also subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, and other places that you may listen to your podcasts. So join us as we continue our voyages and get closer and closer to the day that this game releases. Until then, we are the merry men, pirates, as we like to be called, of the Logcast. Till next time, be careful out there on those seas. And have a good day.
Yarr.
Arr.
Guys, hello? Someone gonna come get me off the island?